Hello everyone, JRDL96 here with a brand new reaction. As you can tell by the title, it's another Jacksepticeye video, and it's honestly been a while since we've seen anything from Sean. He's been, mostly, taking his time away, not really focusing on YouTube as much, and I guess he has other things to worry about, like his projects, his new Ultraverse comics coming out soon. And he's still probably working on the Egoverse at this point, and also he's got his Brainly podcast. He hasn't really been active on YouTube. Like, he will post something here every now and then, like a playthrough, like 2-3 hours long. But he isn't as fully uploading consistent videos all the time. So yeah, he's been pretty much mostly sparse. Really It's just been occasionally once in a while, and now this video came out not a couple days ago. The question if he's retiring from YouTube, because recently we saw MatPat, just retire, and some other YouTubers have retired, and also some have stepped away full time, like Moose Snuggle from the Vanos Cruise stepped away from it full time. But obviously Jacksepticeye, he's been doing this for over 10 years now. So eventually, you're going to get, the grind's going to be too much. So I wonder, is he going to be retiring? Hopefully, I hope he isn't now, because I don't know if I could deal with him too alongside MatPat. That'd be heartbreaking, but I would understand if he had to. I would totally understand. But anyways, let's see what he has to say here. So without further ado, let's react to this video, shall we?
Here's a video I thought I'd make because there's been a lot of discussion about it this year.
That
talking
damn
about
hairdo.
Retiring from YouTube, because a lot of people have asked me over the last few months. When MatPat left, RIP, I put out a tweet because in his video he talked about doing YouTube for a third of his life, and I realized that YouTube was a third of my life. And that kind of freaked me out. But I tweeted that kind of knowing that people were going to get weird about it. I poked the nest purposefully.
Poked the bear.
But just to allay any fears, no, I'm not retiring from YouTube. At least not yet. I do intend on retiring at some point,
of
but
course.
Not right now. But I think it's an interesting discussion because I have legitimately thought about retiring at the start of this year because the MatPat video came out and Tom Scott's video came out, and I was watching all of these and I could relate heavily to what they were saying and what they were talking about, and being in that part of your life where it feels like, yeah, I've kind of done what I wanted to do with it. I think it's time to move on from it, but I didn't really feel like I was ready to. And I've had sort of a tumultuous relationship with my YouTube channel over the years. I think within the last 5 years, it's become apparent that I've struggled quite a bit with keeping up with content, keeping up with the passion, keeping up with the energy, keeping up with my audience. It's probably been more overwhelming in the last 5 years than it has been in the first 5 years of doing it. Because in the beginning, I was just doing 2 videos every day, 5.5 years, same time, every day. And it was easier to do because everything just felt easier. It felt like I just sat down and was like, what do I record today? Okay, this and this, cool, do it, upload it, went to all my subscribers, everybody watched, great. And I think in the last 5 years or so, it feels like the stuff that I used to do stopped working. I had an analogy for it, and I love an analogy. This is the shape of me, and this is the mold of YouTube, and my shape fit into the mold perfectly. A lot of stuff was just really clicking, gaming was popping off, that high energy type of content
during that era
was really in demand for a lot of people in the audience. And over the years, the sort of mold of YouTube has morphed and shifted and evolved, and that
YouTube is evolving
really
again.
fit the mold anymore. So things got a little harder to do. I had to overthink my content a bit more. Algorithms started to become a thing that I just never really had to think about before. So I was struggling quite a bit to figure out where I sort of fit in the ecosystem, and I tried the thing of appeasing to the algorithm for a couple of years and doing things like reaction content a lot more, and I just didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't know where I sat in the ecosystem. I didn't know what type of content I wanted to do. I didn't know what the audience wanted. And I struggled really heavily with that for a while. And sure, some stuff did do well, but it felt really cookie cutter and not what I wanted to do, so I got burnt out on it. There's a big thing on YouTube about taking breaks and like looking after your mental health.
Yes.
And I feel like I've been good at that. I feel like I've sort of pioneered that in a way of like taking breaks healthily for myself and being very vocal about my mental health and talking about it. It's
pretty evident.
But what sucks is that algorithmically and business-wise, it feels like it doesn't work. Sometimes it's just like, oh, the audience forgot about you, or you stopped uploading so you're not in their feeds. People realize that, oh, I'm just watching you because I've always watched you and I don't really want to watch you anymore, so you taking a break maybe realize that, and they move on to someone else. And all of that stuff's fine, but when it comes to me making the content, it's like, man, when I come back from some breaks, it's like, it feels like people didn't miss me at all. It feels like the system's kind of working against me. Again, I don't know if that's just YouTube wide or if that's just me and my channel specifically, but I struggled with that quite a bit as well, and I was like, well, maybe I should just leave. Maybe I should just quit. It sucks because the channel still does really well. Like, if you look at the videos I'm doing and the stuff that I'm uploading, things do well. It sucks that I got into a headspace where whatever's going on with my channel or the system, it made me feel like the stuff I was doing sucked. And I think that's why this year I was like, okay, I'm gonna quit because I just don't really want to have to overthink my content. I don't want to have to like appease a system like that. That's not the way I want to do my channel. But I decided, okay, I'll give it a different shot. I'll do it differently, and that's why I've been doing like Dark Souls all in one video, FromSoft games all in one video. I've been doing other stuff
I noticed that you've been doing like full playthroughs all in one go.
Where I get to do what I want, do it in a way that works, and also it's just fun. It's a different way of doing it that I have in the past, where I would just kind of, I called it carpet bombing my channel. And now it's a bit more fun to do. It's a bit more sustainable. I can kind of like
shadow
take
drop
time away from doing it. But there's a lot of other stuff in the background, not even just for the channel and the way I do my content or the business side of things. The thing that made me want to quit first was because, I don't know if people know this, I think I've talked about it a lot, but a lot of people still seem to not know this. I am horrifically depressed.
Really?
And I say that kind of hyperbolically because I like talking kind of exaggeratively and using hyperbolic terms all the time. I'm like legitimately clinically depressed and diagnosed and gone to my doctor for it over the years and have been seeing a therapist for a long time, and I'm medicated for it, and all of that stuff. It's kind of like putting up guardrails for me. It's gotten better over the years where I've gotten better at dealing with it. I kind of know what's happening to me, so I have tools to deal with it, and going to therapy has helped me quite a bit, but I've just been kind of knocked on my ass. I'm terrible at comparing myself to other people. I'm wondering why my brain doesn't work the same as other people's, why my motivation lacks. Turns out it's because I have ADHD and I got diagnosed with that. And
we all do.
That helped in a way because it kind of made me go a bit easier on myself, but it doesn't help get work done. And when things go wrong, I catastrophize and I think that things are really going wrong. I'm clinically diagnosed with like chronic anxiety as well. Like I'm anxious all the time. Even with my medication it helps, but I'm still anxious constantly. I second guess everything I do. I hate myself 5 times out of 10. Like half the time I'm just like, man, I suck. Why can't I do this? I have an idea that I want to do, but I don't have the motivation and the ambition and the energy to do it. I even want to do this stuff. And I'm just in my head a lot. When I started off doing this, I was really good at just kind of like going with the flow and being high energy and just being me. And after a while, you start getting those comments which is like, man, you're so loud. Man, you suck. Man, this person's better. But after doing this for like 11 years, that stuff just really chips away at me after a while. And again, another analogy, because I love them, I used to always think of it as like a statue, that throwing like a couple of stones at it is like, oh, that's not going to do anything. It's a statue. It's not going to get affected by it. But after 11 years of doing that, eventually the cracks start to show. And I didn't realize how much that sort of stuff was affecting me. And that's not to say like people shouldn't be saying that stuff. Some people are just not going to like you. Even knowing that that's fine, I didn't realize how insidious it was. And it was like getting under my skin and how much it was changing the way I did stuff. And I realized that the comments were affecting me way more than I thought they were. And I struggled with that a lot as well. I'm not impervious to criticism, nor do I think I should be.
I'm not either.
Exempt from it. That's fine to do.
Like, I get it. If you don't like my content, I know I totally understand.
And then
if you don't like my content,
real kicker for me was when my dad died. And I'm not trying to farm sympathy with this, but it is a really good sort of teaching moment for me.
Yeah,
it happened.
That second that happened, everybody started fucking trolling him and
really
fucking
had this
saying some
super strong bonded connection with him because he was so much older. And I talked about it before, where I didn't think it would affect me as much as it did.
Pieces of
and
garbage.
Then when he passed, I kind of extrapolated out my life and was like, okay, what do I actually want to do?
Those comments were so
And I thought about it more and more, and I'm like, doing YouTube,
what did he ever do to you that you decided, let me be this, let me say this about him and his dad?
Then the stuff with the
seriously,
meme of, there was a meme going around, if you weren't around back then or just weren't aware of it, it was everywhere, where it turned into Jacksepticeye's dad is burning in hell. Was the spam comment that would show up. And at first I was like, God. I can't believe this is happening.
I really wanted to hunt these fucking
And then I realized,
pricks
down. It's the internet, you can't stop it from happening.
Oh, I wanted to hunt them down.
If you talk about it, it's going to make it worse because now people know that affects you.
I really wanted to hunt these fuckers down. You kind of have to just write it out. How fucking dare you?
That it goes away. And eventually it did.
Would it be funny if we said that to your dad?
I'm happy that I communicated with YouTube to bring in a strict
I sure as hell don't say anything like that
to me, so they let me kind of like test out some features on my channel for spam, and it kind of worked. It didn't really, but that comment was everywhere. It would be like a Mr. Beast profile picture or another YouTuber, and it'd be like, Jacksepticeye's dad is burning in hell, click here for something. I remember seeing them on like Charlie's channel, like Critical's channel, and commentary and drama channels were picking it up, and news channels were talking about it, and I was like, how did this awful thing that happened to me turn into a meme on the internet? And thankfully a bunch of other people pointed out how ridiculous it was, and how awful it was, and how reprehensible it was.
Yes.
I didn't have to speak up about it.
Well, you kind of did.
At the time, man, I was struggling so much.
I can imagine how bad it was for you.
I was like, I don't want to fucking do this. That's it. I'm done. I'm leaving. I can't do this job.
That was like 3 years ago.
So many people are allowed to say such horrible things about me, and I'm just supposed to like sit there and take it.
Yeah.
This fucking sucks. I just want to make content and have people have fun.
Yes.
I was legitimately
me too.
Hovering over the nuke button where I was like, I'm done. My dad died. I want to make sure that I'm not working all the time. Stressed out about what's going to work. Stressed out about my titles, my thumbnails. What content is going to like click for an algorithm.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not how anybody should be living their life, and I don't enjoy that. And I thought, I'm going to leave and I'm just going to do the things I want to do. I'm going to paint miniatures. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to watch movies. I'm going to play games in my spare time. I'm going to go outside more. And then going to therapy helped quite a bit to be like, okay, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. And I'm absolutely an all or nothing personality. I either do everything all at once or I do none of it. I can't split my focus and my attention. And it's a thing that I'm working on as well. But going to therapy helped me
I'm pretty sure that helped a lot.
You can distance yourself from some aspects of it and then not have to give it up entirely.
Way before
and that's why I don't really go on
YouTube.
Twitter anymore. I don't have Twitter on my phone. I deleted it over a year ago. I haven't gone back to it. I check Instagram very sparingly. I don't really use it. I thought about it a lot where I'm like,
I feel like I might, delete Twitter off my phone too.
Doing this anymore? Is my passion even there? And so much of why I started doing it in the first place had kind of like morphed and shifted and disappeared. And so many people look at my channel and are like, man, you can upload whatever you want and it'll always do well. And that used to be the case. Now, I'm so proud of that, but that's not really the case anymore. Like, I have to think about what I'm doing more than I ever have in the past.
Is unpredictable. And, you can't
tell what it is. That's not necessarily a bad thing either. Like, the standards on YouTube stuff evolves and changes, and you have to adapt to that. And
you have to adapt and evolve a little bit.
Just shifted, and
it's got to the point where most YouTubers now do reaction content.
I just decided I want to do it in a way that is a bit more fun again. I have more stuff going on outside of my channel now that gives me joy. I do Top of the Morning, which is a bit more fun to do. Yes. I have like the Iris stuff, the stuff. We did comics.
Love that crap.
They're on
Yay! The comics
I do
are coming
comics
soon.
now.
Yeah.
I have a podcast. I have a lot more things that are kind of like creatively fulfilling me, and I know when to take.
I guess your
time
therapy.
Away and when to take time for myself and not have it sort of cripple me. But I will retire eventually. At the start of this year, and I talked to MatPat in private about this, where I was like, man, I'm this close
we
to
all
like
know
doing
that's
the
eventually
same
going to
thing.
happen.
I even had it in my head where I was like, I'm going to quit this year. I'm going to do the things that I wanted to do, and then I'm just going to like peace out and do other things. Like, it would be the quitting type like Matt's doing or Tom Scott's doing, where I would quit, but it would just give me more time to do the other things that I want to do. I definitely think I probably have about 2 years left in me at the very max.
Wow.
of doing things the way I am currently doing them. I want to springboard to other stuff, do other creatively fulfilling things. I want to make bigger projects. I want to make I want to produce stuff.
Of course.
I want to make animated shows of games that I'm big into. I want to do my own creative projects, my own stories, my own characters. Eventually I want to write a book.
Of course.
And not like a book about my life, but like a novel, like fiction book. And I just want to do things that are a bit more
I can see you do stuff with the Irish stuff.
Just uploading content all day, every day. And I thought about it for a while where I thought I had to keep my relevance on YouTube, like uploading consistently brings in money to do other bigger projects. But I just don't enjoy doing stuff in such a businessy way. I think it takes the creativity out of me and it takes the artistry out of the things that I'm doing, and I think that's why I get so burnt out on doing what I'm doing a lot of the time. But yeah, just so you know, I have been a minute to midnight closer than people even realize. So that tweet where I was like, man, I have been doing it a third of my life, and people are like, oh dear God, no, not you too. It was closer than it wasn't to me just being like, yeah, I'm done, I'm leaving, I don't really want to do this anymore. Honestly, it wouldn't really
surprise me.
The more I do it, the more I understand Jenna Marbles.
Yeah.
And why she left.
Because of the toxicity of the internet. And it is kind of
like a tantalizing thought. But I do think I have more stuff that I want to get done and more things that I want to do with my time. And I have that personality where I always want to create, but I don't enjoy it all the time. It's not even a case of like, it's as fun as you make it. I just think the personality type that I have and the way my brain works struggles quite a bit with just existing and lumping stuff on top of it where so many people have access to me is something that I wasn't really prepared for, and I'm only now learning how to deal with. But therapy's been great.
Of course.
And medication has been great. And going to my doctor about my anxieties has been great. I'm even trying like new inhalers right now.
Oh, man.
And it's causing me to like tremor all the time. And my health over the last few years has been dog shit, where my asthma's been bad. I get migraines now that I've never gotten before. Man. My eyesight had issues, and my doctor was like, it's probably because you sit at a computer all the time. I'm like, man, maybe I shouldn't be doing that. So, but just so you know, that's where I'm at. The people you watch online and the people you look up to and the people that you're watching on movies and everything are not bulletproof, but I'm also very well aware of the privilege and the position I'm in, and I don't want to ever seem like I'm ungrateful for what I'm doing. It's just, it's hard to do. It comes with a lot more than just putting in the hours and getting stuff done, and I do really care about the audience that I've accrued, and I want to connect more with you guys. Again, I'm all or nothing, where I like dump myself completely into my audience and then it's very parasocial and then it gets to me, or I'm completely absent, and I'm using this year as kind of a way of bridging that gap a bit more. And the FromSoft Games all-in-one video idea has been really fun to do.
Of course, I can't imagine how fun it has to be just to not split
all-in-one video,
split it and
for
milk
April
it.
Fools was a really fun idea to do. So I want to do more stuff like that, where I'm not sort of overthinking what I'm doing and second-guessing everything and then committing to stuff that I end up regretting later. I don't know. Anyway, my mind's a mess and I don't really know how to deal with it most of the time, but hopefully some of you out there can relate to it, and maybe other YouTubers can relate to it as well. I don't really have anything else to say. I've probably missed out on a lot of the stuff that I'm prepared to talk about. I can relate to
what you're saying.
And once I start talking, I can't bring my thoughts all into a cohesive manner, and it's up to my editor to fix this. Thank you, editor. Hopefully this was interesting to watch. Okay, bye-bye now.
Alrighty. Man, I agree with most of this stuff, and I actually can relate to some of the stuff that he said. Like, he had thoughts of retiring this year. Like, it doesn't really surprise me if he had the, thoughts go to his head. Maybe I should go. Maybe I should quit. Maybe after all these years of doing it for pretty much a third of my life at this point, maybe it's time to move on. Like, I can't imagine, like, especially after what's going on with Matt Pat and some of the other guys retiring, it's just crazy to me, but yeah, I could totally relate to some of the aspects. He talked about how also mostly the algorithm and its constant evolving, changing, ways, where it keeps changing. The algorithm keeps deciding, okay, now these kinds of videos are the must see. Oh, these kinds of videos are the must see. You know, like, you back then in like the early 2010s, gaming was huge on YouTube, to the point where they created like a separate, like, website for YouTube called YouTube Gaming. Obviously, eventually over time that, they dissolved that and later, phased that out. So, but still, gaming is still pretty popular on YouTube. It's not like, it's not as huge as it was back then. Back in the earlier days, if you did playthroughs of games on YouTube, you would get copyright claims from the partner developers of the games themselves. Like, Nintendo is a pretty prime example too, and I think they still they've slightly loosened a little bit on the YouTube side, but it's still there. But it's obvious, like, he even talked about how, like, when he started doing reaction content and stuff like that, like, it felt to him cookie cutter. It didn't really satisfy him as much. Like, it felt like a chore in a sense. Like, also, he's been dealing with depression, clinical depression, and also anxiety, and also a lot of actual health issues. He had some stomach issues. His asthma started to flare up. Now he's dealing with migraines. His eyesight is going all wonky. He's gotten diagnosed with ADHD. So yeah, like, he's been dealing with a lot of issues with his health in the last few years. But also, he's been dealing with a lot of, nasty comments. Like, we all deal with it. Like, all YouTubers deal with those negative comments. Like, you're not going to win everybody over. But though there are these particular comments that really got to him, I'm pretty sure. And it got to me because I got really pissed at these idiots when his dad died back in 2021. And these fucking pieces of fucking heartless shit decided, let's just say, oh, Jacksepticeye's dad is burning in hell. So is your girlfriend Evelyn. And then that too, like, it evolved into that, and just, oh my, I really wanted to hunt these fuckers down. I really wanted to hunt them down. That's how pissed I was at seeing those. I'm like, man, you have nothing to do in life? No wonder why you're that fucking miserable. So you decide to try to make everybody else's life miserable because you are. Oh, God, like, I hope karma, takes care of them, for being heartless that they are. Like, I felt so bad for him, especially during that time, when his dad died. Like, I dealt with the death of, my 2 dogs that same year, and that was really rough, to go through. And I know what it's like to lose a father figure, in a sense. Like, my grandfather on my mom's side. It's not easy. It's very, really, really rough to go through. And so obviously, yes, that really affected me, just seeing him like this, and then seeing these assholes out there to doing that. It's tough. It's just so fucking stupid, and that YouTube just lets that shit happen. They tried to filter it, but somehow there's always those bots that it became like a troll bot, essentially. These comments will just get spammed in by these multiple bot accounts. That's just how bad it got. Another thing too is, like, he also doesn't, in a sense, have like that passion, that spark, and that motivation to do certain videos. I could totally attest to that. I could totally relate to that kind of aspect, because it's pretty evident in the last 2 years, especially for me. When it comes to, like, let's say some of the ego content I do, like the ego content especially. There have been times where, like, I try to get certain videos done by this specific date or whatever. Like, I want to try to get like an ego video done. I like I said before, I wanted to get the Good Deals 4 video done last year, at the end of last year. But I didn't have enough time because I ended up getting a cold, and also I kind of lost the motivation to do so because I didn't want to really try to rush it and try to, like, last minute and, like, with only like 2 days like left or whatever to try to film everything that was involved with that video. And also, I just felt like I needed more time to work on it. Like, I've dealt with, something like that before with Good Deals 3. And, the last 2 days of shooting, like, I filmed the Good Deals, JD Thrift segment last. And it was the day before, like on the 29th, and then I had to completely edit the entire video together on the 30th, the day before it was supposed to come out. All day long, and I had to work that day, and I had to literally edit while at work whenever I had a downtime, which was rare at that time when I used to work at that supermarket. So it was a pretty rough time, but I was still proud in the end to finally get it done. But still, I don't want to like go through that kind of stuff like that ever again, because that just isn't fun, because then it just becomes a chore, and it starts to burn yourself out, and I don't want to do that. So I could totally attest and relate, especially with some of the other ego videos lately. I kind of don't have the motivation or the spark. Like I kind of have these things in my head, like, and stuff that tell me, you got to start doing this. You should do this now. Like, I get those thoughts in my head, like, but I'm like, I don't want to rush into it. I want to like, put together something cool. Like I know that eventually, like, I'm going to have to do a video with Dr. Spindler and my fictional self again with the video chat conversation. I've also had that thought of doing like a sequel to that 10 years video I did years ago, where, it's similar to the video that Sean did, obviously, but I wanted to do my own spin to it. But it's become very, I don't have that motivation to really do that. Like, and it's because now it's gotten to the point where years have gone by. Because I wrote this whole script down 2 years ago, around the time, like during my time of when I was taking my hiatus, I even wrote it. Like, I was like, you know what? I might as well write this while I'm, since I have nothing to do, and I'm not really doing anything right now, and I just put it in my head, like, eventually you're going to have to film that stuff. And I wanted to, go take a spin on that, and try to figure out, okay, how do I want to make this work? It's still, and I think at this point it's kind of gone to the point of, being pointless to do so now, because it doesn't really fit the, the theme of, at the time. But maybe some stuff does, and certain, current things, might fit into it, but I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if anybody wants to see it at this point, if I decide to ever do it. Good Deals 4 is definitely still happening, but I already said, all right, I'll put it out at some point later in the year. I don't want to work on it now because, it's not really worth the time. But I got to think, okay, what should I do for the video, etc., that kind of stuff. So, but anyways, back to Jacksepticeye here. He does say that obviously, yes, he's not retiring yet. But he feels that he has about maybe 2 years left in him to fully, do YouTube stuff. And that is very sad to hear. Like at least he's not retiring yet. Like, he does, like, look, we all know eventually, Markiplier's gonna retire, Ethan's gonna retire, PewDiePie's pretty much, moved on slightly. He still does videos now and then, but he's not doing it as fully as he used to. Even though he recently posted a video with Sean, watching, memes. So, like, eventually that day's gonna come, and it's gonna be heartbreaking to see. But, like, Mark hasn't really been fully as active, well, lately he has, but, in the last, few, like, every other, like, couple months, he, like, once in a while, he'll pop up with a video here and there, but he's been mostly working on the Iron Lung movie, so we understand why he's been taking a step back from doing YouTube. But, again, it's kind of heartbreaking to see, seeing that, the people you grew up watching is now decided to take a step back to, also kind of like maybe decide maybe it's time for me to stop. Like, just the fact that he started to have those thoughts, it's heartbreaking to see, because, you want them to go on forever, But, you know, eventually everybody's getting older, and obviously, you know, it's not going to be worth doing after a while. So, hopefully Jacksepticeye is I'm hoping he's doing well for himself. I knew that Sean was taking a little bit of a lot of breaks for his mental health, and obviously that's so important. That's one of the main reasons why I took my break 2 years ago, mostly for my mental health, and I just felt burnt out from it, because especially at that time when In Space with Markiplier was coming out. So, like, you know, when it came out, and I wanted to try to finish that and also try to do an ego video as well, and again, I was putting so much pressure on myself to get those kinds of things done, but, you know, it got really bad, so I just had to take a step back for a while. Well, eventually, in the end, I did finish In Space with Markiplier, but, like, I kind of missed the boat, and this is why, like, I can kind of relate, like, I kind of get compared, like, I don't know if you want to call it an analogy, or, you know, I get, like, a similarity to people in the pro wrestling business. Like, I remember watching, you know, some documentaries, like the one with Kurt Angle, talking about how, like, he kept rushing back to get back in the ring back in the mid 2000s when he broke his neck again, because he didn't want to lose his spot. He didn't want to lose that momentum that he had, and, you know, and stuff like that. So he just had to kept rushing back just to get, you know, back into the ring. And, you know, unfortunately, it didn't really work out for him. Like, you know, like, once you're out of that spotlight, you don't want to lose it. Like, you want to keep that spotlight. You know, like, you don't want to let go of that. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin during the Attitude Era. At one point, you know, he had to step away because he had to deal with his neck injury. So he was out for 10 months. Nearly a year. And he was concerned, like, you know, maybe no one's going to fucking care. Triple H, when he tore his quad the first time in 2001, tore it off completely off the bone. Spent the next 9 months rehabbing to get the hell back in there. And the day of his return at Madison Square Garden, he had this anxiety in him, wondering, is anybody going to care? Am I going to hear crickets? And no, he did not hear crickets. He almost blew off the roof of Madison Square Garden that night. The fans were happy to see him again. So, like, you can tell, like, you can understand that kind of analogy. I hope you understand where my analogy, when I'm trying to make comparisons to. Like, same thing with YouTube. Like, once something is hot, you know, like, let's say a big release, like, for example, the whole In Space with Markiplier, Heist with Markiplier stuff, when those videos started, when they first came out, I wanted to get all those videos done quickly and not miss the boat of, like, what potential, like, huge amount of views on those particular videos. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to miss the boat on that. So that's why I was kind of like, I kind of knew, like, you know, when I went back to finish part 2 of In Space, like, I knew that it wasn't going to get that many views. It was going to get a good chunk, but not as big as I was expecting it to be. Like, how if I decided to, you know, put more out around this time when it came out. So, man, it's gonna be a sad day when our favorite YouTubers decide it's time to move on with their life and, you know, just no longer do videos. Like, obviously, I feel like I don't plan on retiring anytime soon. Like, I feel like I might change my uploading schedule a bit, because I've been doing the daily video one video a day thing for like years. But, like, I may change it up, make it upload. I might upload on specific days. Like, I just to kind of space out the kind of content that I want to put out. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to, like, just be and also I want to try to expand my the kinds of content that I want to make. Like, I don't want to just do reaction videos. I want to maybe go back to try to do gaming again, and actually, like, Let's Plays, which I haven't really done before. Also, I want to also try to, bring back some of the old series that I've done. Like, I brought back recently my Storytime video, Storytime series, with, when I went to that wrestling convention, and then I brought back creepypasta readings. Like, I haven't done a creepypasta video in 5 fucking years, and I decided to finally bring, back, and I've wanted to always bring it back, but there was not enough motivation for me to finally do so. I didn't have the motivation to do so. So, but it got to the break. Obviously it got to a breaking point, and even some of the comments that I would get sometimes, like this is the low tier kind of content. This is so bad. And I get all those comments, and it does get to me. It does get to me because it's like I understand. I totally understand where you're coming from. And, I try to block it out of my mind and stuff. But it does get to me because it's like, you have no idea how badly I want to do more than just that. But then they'll say, well, why don't you? Well, it's because I'm limited to what I am capable based on what I'm using, the kind of, equipment that I use. It's not that fucking easy. It's not easy to, make all the, I barely make any revenue off my content to begin with. It's that's the amount of views that I get on my channel. That low, amount of views. I recently hit a milestone that took years. 1 million views total across the entirety of my channel. The fact that it took that long, obviously I kind of anticipated that anyways, but the fact that it took even a while to hit 3,000 subscribers, it took a long ass time because I was stuck at a specific subscriber count for such a long period of time. It was kind of getting to me a little bit. I'm like, what? I understand you don't want to watch my reaction. People are getting sick of my reaction videos. I totally understand that. I'm kind of getting sick of just doing reaction videos. I want to do more than just reaction videos. I want to do once in a while a story time or creepypasta reading, that kind of stuff. Recently, my creepypasta about the Corrupt Us, the Disney thing, that got a lot of views. That got almost 300 views. That surprised the shit out of me. I'm like, wow, people were interested in that. Not a lot of comments though, but the fact that it got, not a lot of views, I was kind of genuinely surprised by that. I'm like, wow, okay. I knew that it may catch some people's attention. Yes. I knew it was going to catch somebody's attention. But I didn't anticipate it to be that huge. But anyways, I hope Jacksepticeye, if he ever sees this, and he did mention he wanted to try to connect with his fans a little bit more. So, I don't know if he'll ever see this, but Jack, I meeting you during your, when you premiered your tour documentary 2 years ago. God, that's been 2 years now since then. Wow. I remember meeting you. That was one of the best days of my life, and I'm glad that I was able to thank you for being such a huge inspiration to me. But I hope you're doing well. Don't rush yourself. I have said this time after time after time after time after time, especially with the other YouTubers like Ethan or Mark. I always say, don't rush back. Don't rush yourself. Don't rush yourself when you feel like you want to come back. Take as much time as you need. Obviously, we will still be here to watch. We will watch your old videos to kind of get that fix of you for us. I remember always watching old school YouTube videos of them just around the times when they would not be full, actively uploading. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people do that too. But yeah. Overall, I hope he's doing well, and take as much time as you need, and hopefully you can get the kinds of content that you want to do out there, and then we'll gladly watch it. I'm really looking forward to more of your content with the Iris, your ego stuff. That's one of the main aspects of why I subscribed. I still like some of your gaming videos and your reaction content, your the scary videos, the memes, the funniest home videos, TikToks. Like, I enjoy your content. Like, it expands your kind of, forms of content. So I do, enjoy it. So anyways, let me know what you think about what he said and what I've said in the comments down below. I hope you guys enjoyed today's reaction. I know it was pretty lengthy today, and probably at this point everybody's clicked off the video, but it is what it is. But if you like what you saw here, hit the like button, subscribe, share this video with your friends. Be sure to ring that bell to be part of the notification squad. Be sure to check out my Instagram because I make cool ads at Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, even myself. I used to act with the cosplays on there, so go check it out. And be sure to check out my Tumblr and my Discord in the description as well. So until next time, JRDL96 signing out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.